really to switch gears to where we are today, I thought our guys went out. We didn't want to. I just thought the last 3 weekends, we've really been very highly competitive. A lot of reps, got over 100 play scrimmage last Saturday, and thought we might be pushing the envelope a little bit if we did that again today for its entirety, and then go do it good against good next Saturday. So we backed off, went a normal practice, except for down there during the red zone goal line. Really only one guy today. John McClure got banged up with a early into practice, but other than that, to play that competitive and to be there at the end when it's in the red zone goal line was really neat to see the guys compete. I thought our offense today at times in the early parts looked really, really good. Brandon Allen especially looked very crisp on some of his throws, stepping up in the pocket, doing some things that we've asked him to do, and now finally grasping a little bit. Brandon Mitchell continues to improve. Can't have a critical turnover there in the red zone. One of the selling points that we've tried to sell to our kids is down there, you know, the game of football is played from obviously end zone to end zone, but in the red zone, everything's magnified times 1,000. You have a penalty down there, you have a turnover, you have a false start, anything like that can take points off the board. So to have a turnover there was critical and a great teaching moment for all of us. Other than that, I guess open up for questions.
Cody Walker, did he get cleared or something?
Yeah, Cody, you know, it's kind of been fun for me. You know, I obviously heard of Cody's situation when I first came in, talked with Matt Summers, our trainer, learned about the injury and learned about the rehab. And it kind of, as we got going through winter workouts and as we approached spring ball, Matt kept saying, boy, he's looking good and, you know, he's feeling good. And he came into my office and I can't even tell you what number he was, but he's like, Coach, I really need a change. I need a number change. He needed some positive mojo with 2 significant injuries in that old number. So we switched him to where he is, and he's been just a neat kid to be around. And we weren't going to really scrimmage him this spring, and then I had the idea after spring break, I said, hey, why don't we do this? He was getting sore a little bit one day. I said, why don't we back off today? This was a week ago Saturday. Get it feeling good, and then we'll feel how you're, you know, progressing, and maybe we'll do live tackle in the spring game, which would be kind of ahead of schedule. And he came up to us today and said, Coach, I'd really like to scrimmage today in the red zone goal line and get tackled. So we let him go full go today. It was kind of in his hands. Obviously been cleared 100% by the medical staff and looked good. I'm very, very intrigued by what he brings to the table.
So I saw Jared Collins was running first team corner.
Yeah, you know, he had a big day last Saturday in a scrimmage. Will Hines, you know, was a little bit sore in the hip, and I think just the way he played, we made a decision last weekend to move him into that spot on Tuesday, and I think him and Will continue to play. The good news is Tevin Mitchell is playing as good as I've ever seen him play. And those 3 guys, and I think Carroll Washington, unfortunately, he had a little hammy, so his progress during the week was tempered. But I do think we have a group of 4 corners that you know, are going to be in a playing rotation for the fall.
Has Braylon Mitchell surprised you at all?
Has Braylon Mitchell surprised me? No, but other people that have been around have made that comment, which I understand totally, just because he wasn't a guy I heard a lot about coming in and things along that lines. What I loved is he just is a very, very matter-of-fact kid. He handles his business, grinds. He's been a pupil in Coach Shannon's office quite a bit. I know a couple of you have written stories that, you know, our kids have just been a sponge. We've really – first, we kind of had to let them know where our football offices were, to get them up in our offices and to be around us, and we want them in our offices. We want to converse with them. We want to, you know, teach them the game individually as much as they can handle. And it's been a steady diet. It's grown every week. It's just the culture to trying to get those guys understanding that we want them. And Brandon's been a great example of that, and he's playing at a high level because of it.
David wasn't dressed out, was that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, David. Unfortunately, on Tuesday, I think it was, got rolled up a little bit from behind, had an MCL sprain, nothing significant, and then he had a double whammy. I think on Wednesday he got appendicitis. So I told him I'm not even shaking your hand the rest of the week. I'm going to do just like a little taboo right now. But I don't know if we'll get him next week, but nothing significant. Will be with us obviously soon thereafter.
How do you think Beck did playing that spot?
You know, him in particular, the part that he's probably handled the most is just being on an island at that position. You know, being able to understand that you are the blind side, to be able to understand that, you know, it's critical for him to have success inside out. He has a tendency to want to overset both run and pass, which allows people to come underneath him. So it's been a great attitude for him, but obviously a lot of progress that we got to make.
Where do you think go with him instead of Stringer?
You know, Stringer was a little bit banged up too, so it was a little bit of didn't want to put him into a situation unless he was 100% healthy. Today he was, but he really wasn't during the course of the week. So it's been a little bit of a combination of both those guys.
Where do you feel like you made significant progress in the 3 weeks or 4, and then what do you want to do the last week?
Well, I think first I've been hard on our wide receivers, and just them catching the ball today was very apparent. I mean, obviously probably the hardest conditions we've been in, moisture/wind/ a little bit cold, and they caught it better today than they have all spring. And obviously I know that's a two-part thing. It's the throw and the catch, but I really, really like the progress they've made. I thought Herndon had a really good day. And excited because him and Demetrius Wilson as upperclassmen, the more they can lead that group, the better off we're going to be. Got some young guys that are talented. Hatcher's kind of the teacher's pet. I really just love his attitude, his energy, his physical presence. May not be the most gifted guy in that group, but he's definitely a great attitude guy. So we've got a lot of bodies there that I'm excited about, and they're definitely willing to work, which is fun.
I don't know when you moved Kelvin Fisher to free safety, but I think he was a cornerback.
Yeah, last Saturday he was. We just thought, wanted to see where he could, maybe give us a little bit more. He obviously is listed at corner. Him and Ray both. We were kind of talking about either one of them. We decided to move Fisher, and he's a kid that is very detailed, conscientious. I thought if he could get in, we definitely have 2 safeties in Bennett and Rohan that are playing very, very well. TQ, just more reps he gets, he plays better when we're in pads. But we need to find that 4 safety and whoever that ends up being.
Overall, with practice, can you compare what you expected to see right now with what you are seeing?
I didn't really have I'm not one of those guys that I got to be through this part of my playbook. I don't need to. All I want to do is get better every day. That's the only way I know how to get to where I want to be, is just get better every day. And our kids have done that. There's going to be a day or two where maybe a certain side of the ball maybe needed to be a little bit further along than they were, but from where we are in practice 1 now through practice 12, I couldn't be happier and more excited about what these next 3 practices can bring.
What's your opinion been of the offensive line?
Huge improvement. If there's a group from when we started to where we are that had to change the most and have done that, it's been the offensive line. They went from a system that was hurry up and play, get as many reps as you can, a lot of 3-step game, just different things offensively than we're asking them to do, and they've kind of bought into their manhood a little bit. They've changed their bodies physically so much at certain guys, move some personnel around, and we'll continue to grow that position. But I think not only will they have the biggest jump right now in spring ball, I think they'll have the biggest jump in the summer, which leads to the fall as well.
When the season starts, do you think they'll meet the weight and physical requirements that you want?
Weight is really immaterial of what they can do. It's hard to put a number on a kid. There's certain things that we'll do that we'll measure out and have them a goal weight and all that stuff. But a lot of times, even as coaches, we're off there. We want to get them at a weight. That's what I love about Ben Herbert. He's a great strength coach, but he doesn't worry about a number. He worries about a product. And he'll see when Ollison is at a weight that he can handle and play physical and get what we want him to get done. That position is just going to be a little bit of a work in progress.
How's McKinney adjusted at safety?
It's very, very evident, and he just hasn't had to communicate, and our safeties are kind of the quarterbacks at the back end. They got to make calls and adjust. Sleep's been extremely receptive. I think he did it with open arms, and what's really going to benefit him, I think, is in the fall when we go back and he's going to hear everything again from a safety's perspective. I didn't want to move him until we kind of saw where he was during spring drill, so I think if he has an entire summer and fall camp to kind of prep himself, he's got the size, the arms, the length, and the ability that you really feel ideal is for a safety.
What have you thought of the weather this spring?
What have I thought of the weather?
Yeah, it's been...
I came here for sunshine and warmth, and it's been up and down, but I'm glad I kind of took some. I'm mad Thursday I didn't go out. Thursday we didn't go out because there's supposed to be moisture, and it was sunny the whole time. I kept looking outside, so it's kind of a work in progress, but it's been good for us because we're going to have to play in all types of it.
You had some different music selections today.
Yeah, I wasn't in charge. Wasn't a big fan of the first part, but I'm not it's not here to be a DJ. Just they came up to me, asked me if I want to go music. I said sure, pop them up. In the middle, that was Coach Partridge and Coach Taver Johnson. We went a little punt team combatives. That was punt versus punt return. Set up some teams. We wanted to see some competition. One of the things that we've really tried to breed is, even like that hog drill at the beginning of practice, I make those matchups. So if I see 2 guys that I know don't necessarily get along and they're a little chippy with one another, I'll purposely put them head to head. Or if I see a guy that I kind of want to, test his manhood a little bit. I'll put him against a really, really good player and see how he responds, and vice versa. And the same thing with those punt team combatives in the middle. You want to see guys that are truly going to compete against one another.
You keep saying test their manhood. What do you mean by that?
I tell you, one time when we really got rolling at the previous place, there was a point where in the third and fourth quarter, some teams would just quit playing the way that they started the game. And there was a quote from a coach that said they took a little bit of our manhood from us today. And that year, it just spread like wildfire through our players. And when you say something like that, everybody wants, as a man, you feel you can own up to your manhood, be who you are, what you are 24/7. And if somebody threatens that, you'd hope it pulls on their courage a little bit. So, and the more we can stress that and emphasize it, the better we are.
Linebacker play in general, and I know Tiga made a play today.
Yeah, I've been really Tiga and Carr. We challenged them a lot last Saturday after the scrimmage, after the goal line scrimmage. Mike linebacker, and I told him this story. Back in the day when under defense was created, and I learned this through Norm Parker, who was a great defensive coach. He used to set the front by the Mike linebacker saying, "Give it to me right, give it to me left," which meant give me the bubble, put a 1 and a 5, and I'm going to man the middle, and nobody's going to mess with me. And that the Mike linebacker, you want to be able to put him in a dark room, and he's the guy that should come out. He's the guy that nobody should be messing with, and I want them to understand. Now, we don't do that same thing here, but the principle is there, and I want them to know, the Mike linebacker should be the guy that commands the presence out there and the calls and the attitude and the mentality. And both of them this week have been significantly better. And Carr and Tiga, and then Austin Jones has been doing a nice job when we pop him in there at Mike as well. So that's a kind of a condition in progress. Jay Lake's been real steady. I'm very excited about him and kind of how he's continued to come along.
Brandon Allen, I think he went like 4 or 6 on deep balls, and one of them was a drop. We talked about his.
Yeah, that's what earlier. I just think Brandon. First off, Brandon Allen, Brandon Mitchell, AJ Derby, Beener, Reed. They've all just gotten better. Coach Chaney's, I think, had a nice job of reaching out to him, but you thought, and he was good to see Austin just as he gets more and more comfortable with certain receivers, where they're supposed to be. There was a slant route that I think the receiver broke it off a little bit early, so the ball was behind him, but he was expecting the vertical push to be there. So even that's why it has a huge effect on me on Saturday. I want our ones to run with our ones. I want those guys to get used, center quarterback exchange, guard tackle playing with another, quarterback throwing to a Z and X, a Y, and R and F. It's just, you can only get better by playing with one another, and that's a big part of it. And I think Brandon gets that, and the more he continues to have success, obviously our offense grows too.